What have you learned over this time? The last couple of weeks as we've been waiting to play, we haven't played for a couple of weeks, obviously, with the last time out, those 2 games at Michigan Tech, Coach.
Well, hey, you know what? I think Tech did a good job of testing our, I guess, our stick to itiveness, our staying after it offensively, because we we had shots on net, but we didn't have a lot to show for it as far as pucks behind goaltenders. I thought Pietila was very good, and we needed to find a way to get second and third opportunities, or combine that with a little bit more traffic in front and making it a little more difficult on a goaltender to see a puck. Because at our level, there's a lot of quality goaltenders. We're going to see one this weekend in Driscoll that if they see it, they're going to stop it. So, we had some success as far as possession, as far as getting pucks to the net, but not a lot to show for it. So, we're going to have to be better offensively, because Bemidji is one of the stingiest teams in the country at limiting your second and third opportunities. So we'll be challenged this weekend, but it's an opportunity we're looking forward to, just because we've only played 3 games up until this point.
The unusualness of the, I guess, not being in the routine, Mike. How do you, as a staff, to get your players to adjust to what's going on right now with basically just practicing all the time and having so few games?
You know what? We're trying to be as flexible as we're asking our players to be. We've implemented different situations within our practices. We've created, where we try to have some energy days where it's just a compete day, where we go out, and whether it's 2-on-2, 3-on-3, 4-on-4, small games, having skill days where we'll work just stations at, whether it's defensemen shooting, taking pucks into areas, trying to get them above a goaltender's shoulders, underneath the crossbar, little scoring games that we'll play. We've had a lot of time to practice. And the one thing that these guys are just, I think, real hungry for is the opportunity to compete against somebody else other than themselves. And the energy that we had when we were up at Tech was evident. The guys were excited about playing a game, and it's going to be no different this weekend. But we've just had to come up with different ways, incorporating some off days, so that the guys can get away from it a little bit, because they're not having that typical 4 days of practice, play 2 days and have a day off. It's been anything but typical. So we're excited about hopefully the puck dropping here at 7 o'clock, or 7:37, I should say, on Friday.
How do you combat the Groundhog Day? You touched on that a little bit, but it's been, without the games and travel like you normally have this time of year. Anything unique that you've done with your team outside of lifting and practice and eating, and of course the social distancing and the masking up that they have to do? Anything unique you've had to do this year relative in that way?
Well, you know what? We don't get a start, whether that's a practice, whether that's a lift, really even an opportunity to be around each other in a locker room without proper social distancing, masking, responsibility away from the rink. And so that whole attack mentality, support for each other, is one that has to come first and foremost, because we don't get the ladder without the first part of that. And so that's been a focus. So that takes a little bit of the opportunity for team building, for trying to go out, and whether it's getting the guys together and going in 2 different groups and going bowling, or having different things. They're not an option for us right now. So we've tried to do a little bit more of small group, individual communication, whether that's some viewing a video, whether it's a video of last Tech, the last 2 games with Tech, special teams, power play, penalty kill, and then little things that we've done with our goaltenders, whether it's been goalie sessions, or a certain opportunity for us to develop our defensive core or our forwards and scoring areas that we talked about earlier. We have to be creative. We have to continue to keep things new and fresh. And it's been a challenge for us, but I like where we're at right now. And again, looking forward to Friday.
Often early in the year, you get a chance to get a few different players in the lineup. Are you able to get playing time for newer guys before the conference schedule gets going full in January?
A great question. Our guys are asking that. Usually in the first half of the year, whether it's non-conference before you get into conference games, you want to try and utilize those opportunities to get everybody's feet wet, get freshmen in the lineup, different guys. Because we have not had the number of games that we usually have at this point, haven't had that opportunity. So we'll be looking forward to that this weekend, at trying to get some different guys in the lineup. that haven't had an opportunity to be in the lineup at this point, giving some guys some different opportunities that have been in the lineup, but maybe have not been in the role that they're going to play this weekend. And so, as we build our week and get ready for the weekend, we are looking at trying to give some opportunities to some people that haven't had those up to this point.
What kind of role do your leaders play, Mike? I know you
Sure.
rely heavily on your upperclassmen typically. What kind of role do those guys play in deciding what goes on and your ability to read the group from those guys?
Well, I'm getting older. They're getting, they stay the same. They're I just keep losing
It's the
hair
line
and,
from
and
Dazed and
moving on.
Confused there.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Yep.
And so with that happening, we really have to rely upon that group daily. Yesterday when you had asked me right before we started the press conference, how are things going? And what I told Paul was, it was pretty good today. Yesterday, not so good. And so immediately I go right to our leadership group, our four captains, and ask them, how we doing? How we feeling? Need your guys' support. Is the message we're trying to send being received, or are you guys receiving a different idea of what we think we're selling here? And so trying to communicate with them as much as possible, but also let them understand this is their team. They were selected to be leaders because of the qualities that they bring, not only as players but as people that can be relied upon when things aren't going well for an individual or for our group, where we didn't have a great day on Tuesday. So we rely on that group tremendously every day. Try to get a bump with them, communicate with them, whether it's through text, whether it's a phone call, whether it's a bump here at the rink, so that because nobody's got a better pulse of our locker room than our leadership group. So we try to rely upon that as much as we can.
Have you been impressed with how quickly Burgess has made an impact?
I have. Just so you know what, you never know when we're at a point where our game has changed a little bit. You're starting to see more grad transfers in college hockey, where previous to that, you'd see more of it in college football, maybe basketball, a little bit more starting to creep in here. And especially with what's going to happen, I think, in the future in college hockey recruiting with the one-time transfer rule coming into play, you're seeing some grad transfers start to move around the country. And so I was hoping with the numbers and all the dig work that we had done once he decided to move and go from RPI, to find out about him, where he had been before, the staff up in Alaska with Fairbanks, where he played junior hockey and was very successful. We wanted to call them and see what they thought of him. We had a couple of players that know him, that also shared about him. But he's come in and has absolutely knocked it out of the park from an attitude, from a work ethic. Production's been good. He's still trying to fit in, but he's done a great job at controlling everything that he can control to have the opportunities that he's earned.
Okay, you've used three different guys on the line with Smitty and Souter. What are you looking for the next couple games here? Decide what you're going to do there, assuming you're going to keep those guys together.
You know what? Right now, we're again, with going back to the question that was posed earlier on giving different guys opportunities. The one thing that's been really good about Nathan Smith, I can use him with anybody, because he's been a guy that's been really consistent throughout this first half of the year in the three games that we played. But more importantly, or just as importantly, I should say, has been during the week. He's turning into a veteran with his preparation, with his consistency. So I feel comfortable at using him down the middle and putting different guys on his walls, whether it's right side, left side, or somebody that's playing the offside. I know what he likes to do, and he likes to play, share pucks. He will be a guy that drives that line, and I think you'll see him play with multiple people throughout this weekend.
Goaltending question regarding the Maverick Nets and about Ed Question, whether or not you're looking to give him a nod at some point.
Great question. We had a goalie session today. I'll probably sit down with Brent Pottersay, our goaltending coach, and talk to him about how that went. I think Eddie's done a real good job at positioning himself to allow me to feel comfortable with putting him in the net. Because again, he's working his tail off and doing things that he needs to do. It's balancing that piece of trying to make sure that you've got a guy like Dryden that's getting his work. The numbers that he's put up with 2 out of 3 games, he's pitched a shutout, and try and make a decision that's going to put us in a position to be successful while still managing the idea of giving guys opportunities that they've earned. So I'll do some homework on that this week, but I feel very comfortable at if Ed Kush needed to play on Friday or Saturday, I feel comfortable that he could do that.
Sample size is pretty small with only 3 games played, but have you, do you see identity with this team yet, Mike, about what you have on with your hands here?
That's again, I like the question because it's one thing that we've tried to establish in a short time frame sample size as far as games being played. I think you can see we can be a heavy team. I think we can be hard to play against. We can possess a puck. I thought we did a real good job of that over the last 2 games, and even at Bemidji, when you've played 3 road games and we've possessed the puck as much as we have and have offensive opportunities, I like that piece. I think we've got some guys that have played a lot of college hockey up and down our lineup. I think we've still got to find an identity on who's going to drive our offense. You look at the line of Yaremko, Lutz, and Burgess, and they've been our most consistent line. That's why you've seen them stay together. And it's because it's working. And we're going to continue to tinker with things until we become more productive throughout our lineup. Then our special teams, our penalty kill has been good. I think Coach Connaught's done a real good job of that with our goaltending piece in that being very important. And we need to find some mojo on our power play. We need to be able to create a little bit more and have that become a difference maker for us in games and weekends.
Great, thanks. Last question before we bring in Reggie Lutz. You've got so many forwards competing to get into the lineup each night. How important is that when it comes to creating the practice environment you want? How important is that when it comes to create the practice environment? Yep.
You know what? That is a heavy plate. When the guys come to the rink, and I've always stated this as a coach, the guys that come into the building feeling really good about themselves are the guys that feel they don't have a lot of stress for understanding, am I going to be in the lineup or aren't I? So the guys that have not been in the lineup or have been in and out of the lineup, it's stressful for them when they come into the rink. So what we try to do is provide an environment where they can show themselves every day and either continue where they're at, move themselves up the lineup, or move themselves down the lineup because somebody's outplayed them. If I'm a player, that's the type of environment I want to be around because it gives me an opportunity to control my future. And that's through the lines of communication, those opportunities that we try to make sure they're are evident in every one of our practices. I think then it gives somebody an opportunity to walk away with an idea of where they landed during that day. And if they don't like where they're at the end of that day, they've got a chance to change it the next. So it's been important for us to provide those opportunities and then for them to take advantage of it.